Mini episode 1565 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by Sportsology, delivering unconventional columns and webcasts about sports, TV, music, movies, and more. Follow them on the web at sportsology.com.
The FDH Lounge. You'll want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Welcome to FDH Lounge Mini episode 1565. This is FDH Managing Partner Rick Morris here with part 2 of our grand review of 2022 series, our look back at the top 5 stories in pro wrestling in a monumental year for the industry. Number 5, the Forbidden Door opens. With AEW and New Japan sharing some talent over the past few years, further cooperation was to be expected, but a full-blown joint pay-per-view exceeded most expectations, which was just as well since expectations then got jacked up only to feature a dearth of dream matches and actually only 4 one-on-one matches on the card. That said, the fact that the show could draw so well with a card heavier on very good than great bodes well for the future, with room to add matches that will be far more eagerly anticipated and should consequently draw even better. Number 4. Roman's dominance extends through the bloodline. With the WWE penciling in Reigns' reign of terror to extend past 2 years and into a third, it seemed unlikely that there could be any aspects added to the presentation that would keep business from crashing. Instead, it rose, even as the Usos joined the now undisputed champion as now undisputed tag champions and reaching their own status of LOL Usos win again. While the amazing character work of Paul Heyman was partially responsible, the reinvention of Sami Zayn as eager Samoan crime family associate added to the unit one of the hottest acts in the company, remarkably a man jobbing to Johnny Knoxville in a comedy match as recently as the last WrestleMania. And with a reinvigorated Kevin Owens in the mix with his career-long frenemy Sami, this storyline is poised to come in hot to WrestleMania season, whether or not The Rock materializes to challenge Roman to see who's the real head of the table. Number 3. AEW's honeymoon ends. A dream season for Tony Khan's troupe from August to November of 2021, with the debut of Rampage, Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe, the long-awaited crowning of Hangman Adam Page as world champion, and the debuts of CM Punk, Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, and Bryan Danielson, the last 3 at the legendary All Out 2021, led to thoughts that the sky was the limit. Instead, Full Gear 2021 carried the first hint that 2022 would be the company's most troubled yet, as Jon Moxley's admirable decision to go to alcohol rehab took him off the board right at the same time that fellow cornerstone Kenny Omega was leaving to have long-deferred surgeries, and a few short months before the shocking departures of Cody and Brandi Rhodes. While Moxley proved to be the MVP of 2022 upon his return, franchise players Danielson, Cole, Ruby, Chris Statlander, Kyle O'Reilly, Chris Jericho, and Punk, among others, missed significant time due to injuries, with Punk vacating the world title twice. More about that in a minute. All the while, rumors of backstage strife escalated throughout the year, peaking shockingly during Labor Day weekend. The booking was not as universally popular either, with Khan having trouble doing justice to his deeper-than-ever roster, more storylines being panned, such as the endless Blackpool Combat Club versus Jericho Appreciation Society feud, and the glut of titles and overlapping promotional content on TV after Khan purchased Ring of Honor. MJF shot his way into a work and missed the entire summer. Even after Labor Day, the investigation about the fight at the pay-per-view, suspensions, and the sad chapter with Tony's mom's health problems continued the shadows into fall. Before her health stabilized, key wrestlers returned, the ROH overexposure ended with Final Battle, and expansion into new markets heralded a much better 2023. Number 2. 25 years after the Montreal Screwjob, echoes come flashing back at Brawl Out. CM Punk's brewing discontent, which oddly began with an Adam Page promo far less pointed than earlier ones directed his way by Eddie Kingston and MJF, peaked after the disappointment of a second title-vacating injury in 4 months. His outburst at the post-show press scrum ripped the scab off of backstage discontent and led to the biggest backstage who-done-what since Bret punched Vince on his way out the door a generation ago. In any other year, this shitestorm would have been the story of the year. But Vince, speaking of him, may have written his last chapter this year. Number 1. Vince is done, or is he? One of the most tumultuous years in company history started with Vince exiling Shane after a fiasco at the Royal Rumble and company insiders burying Stephanie after she took time off to help husband Triple H recover from his severe heart attack. Triple H's pet project NXT was also refashioned in Vince's image, with work rate de-emphasized and goofy gimmicks pushed to the forefront. And then, years after the Me Too era got underway, Vince was unsurprisingly implicated in very sordid conduct and even worse legally, potentially kayfabing the shareholders about what he was up to. Almost overnight, Triple H took over creative, reversed the crappy direction of NXT, and pushed the main roster about as far in that direction as a sports entertainment company can handle. Creative is the best that it's been in almost a decade, with the hope that it can be sustained for years for the first time since the long yearned-for Attitude Era. The establishment of AEW heralded the biggest time of competition since those days, but it wasn't all that it could have been, since the shows weren't head-to-head, and more importantly, Vince wasn't directing creative firepower back at Tony Khan. But now Triple H is. Both products should continue to improve, and hopefully, just like with the Monday Night Wars, the fans will be the winners in 2023, unless rumors are true that Vince is trying to come back and he succeeds against all legal, financial, and creative logic, and then all of this optimism is null and void. Thank you for joining us for this mini episode of the FDH Lounge.